Hey guys, so now we are going to be focusing on standard SS8H6 strand C. And this strand asks us to compare and contrast the goals and outcomes of the Freedmen's Bureau and the Ku Klux Klan, often referred to as the KKK. So during the time of Reconstruction, two separate organizations emerge, and both of these organizations are going to have pretty big impacts on these newly freed slaves. And the two organizations were the Freedmen's Bureau and the Ku Klux Klan. Now, the Freedmen's Bureau was designed to give freedmen and poor whites an economic boost and an opportunity to learn to read and write through the use of formal education. As I mentioned earlier, the Freedmen's Bureau was created to help African Americans adjust to their freedom. So after they are no longer slaves, many of these individuals were born into slavery. So this organization came about to help them adjust to being free and how to navigate life during this time. It was also, however, designed to support poor white people as well and provide food for both black and white people. Now, this organization helped build schools and hospitals during this time for freedmen. And freedmen, guys, are people who have been freed from slavery, okay? Another really cool thing that the Freedmen's Bureau did is it oversaw and supervised labor contracts and legal disputes, because this organization set out to make sure that freedmen were not taken advantage of by their bosses or in any legal way. So this organization helped them navigate that and navigate those contracts and make sure that they were getting a fair end of the deal. Now, the Freedmen's Bureau was moderately successful during this time because it created schools, the first public schools for either black or white people. It also fed, clothed, and offered shelter to many individuals during this time. During its early years, the organization really had successes in its education program, and the Freedmen's Bureau created the first public school program in the state and set the stage for Georgia's modern public school system. In addition to this, some of the schools created by the Freedmen's Bureau continue to this day throughout the South, and these schools include Clark Atlanta University and Morehouse College. And next we're moving to the Ku Klux Klan. The first incarnation of the Ku Klux Klan began in 1867 in Tennessee, and this organization was a loosely governed organization consisting of mostly Confederate veterans. This group began as a social club for former Confederate soldiers. However, they became progressively more political and more violent. Soon after their creation, they began to use terroristic actions to intimidate freed blacks and white Republicans. Now, this is where the derogatory nickname carpetbaggers came from, and this was used for those whites who moved from the North, and scalawags, which were the carpetbaggers' white allies from the South. They used these terroristic actions to try to stop African Americans from running for office and voting during the Reconstruction period. Using tactics of intimidation, physical violence, and even murder against blacks, the KKK tormented black organizations such as the Freedmen schools and churches in hopes of establishing social control over African Americans or blacks and their white allies. The KKK was pretty successful in their political goals because Democrats gained control over Georgia politics in 1871. Many of the Democrats were members of the Klan, such as former Civil War soldier John B. Gordon. It was over 100 years before Republicans gained a foothold in the state again. If I'm not mistaken, Sonny Perdue was elected in 2002, and was the first Republican governor since that time. So it was a long time that Democrats had political control of the state. Now, the KKK, again, used severe acts of violence against the freedmen. In some cases, African Americans rebuilt burned schools and churches and sometimes even fought back when they were attacked. Nevertheless, the KKK was a major force in the state during the Reconstruction period, and the white supremacy and racial segregation that they championed for became the norm in Georgia and the rest of the South for several decades. This really set the stage for the inequalities that we experienced during the civil rights movement. So the KKK was disbanded around 1871 when Democrats began to, started to regain political control of the state, and Congress passed the Force Act of 1870 and the Civil Rights Act of 1871, which was also called the Ku Klux Klan Act. These acts authorized federal authority to fight against members of the Klan. So the Klan resurfaced in its second incarnation in 1915 after the death of Mary Phagan. So Ulysses S. Grant was a president that served for two terms, and he really enforced congressional laws to control the KKK during this time. And again, these are the two acts that were passed by Congress in response to the KKK and their violent acts. And these acts authorized federal authority to fight and arrest members of the Klan. So President Grant sent federal troops to enforce the acts, and again, the Klan went underground until 1915.